So I took this door into the body shop the other day to get fixed up, and the guy told me it was going to cost me 50 bucks and a pack of smokes to get this thing all repaired. And I said, there's no way I'm paying that, you greedy bugger. I'll just fix it myself. So he just laughed at me and said, there's no way you can fix this. And you know what? I've never done body work before, but I can guarantee you I can probably fix this door up. And we're gonna give it a try anyway. So it's not even that bad hardly. So I don't know what the guy was thinking trying to charge me that kind of money. He must have thought I just fallen off the turnip truck. So you know, it's not even that bad. There's a little dent right here, really small parking lot ding right here, and it's slightly decomposed on the bottom, but it's actually really not even that bad. Like from like here up, it's like pretty good, and like over here, like this area is really good actually. So I don't know, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try real hard to fix this door. So I hope you enjoy watching people learn how to do bodywork. That's what this video is going to be. So this is going to be about a 30-part series on fixing up this door here. But step one is going to be to repair this inner bottom here. So it's completely gone from essentially here down all the way along here. It's quite bad here. You gotta replace basically all of this in here. It's all kind of gone away on us, and then I'm gonna do it myself, and you'll see. So let's start with the easiest piece, which is going to be this piece here, which it just has a series of bends in it. It comes here, then down here, then down here, and then back up like that. All these bends are kind of very rounded. They're not very sharp, which is perfect because my communist brake can't really do anything beyond that. So there's kind of a few different approaches we could take to repairing this. See just how much it's in there, and obviously when this came in, I took all of this edge with it, so the door is now actually shorter. And then we've also got a lot of damage throughout this door handle area. You can see there's a ridge here. It's all punched in. You can see just how much it's caved in there. That's a fair bit. All the way through there. So this entire area has damage, but obviously this is the worst of it all. We've got the straightedge on that, you can see, and I would just love to fill this up with Bondo. It's just begging for it, but apparently you're not allowed to do that. You can see that's that is in a fair bit. And when all this came in, it also, like I said, it moved this edge in, and you can't really see it because my camera won't focus and it's hard to see these things. But this whole front of the door is also punched, and it's all caved in through here. Again, you can't really tell, but it is, because it is that way. And so I don't want to replace this until I get this fixed. And the only way to really, well, I mean, we could put tension on the door here and pull it this way while we have a porta power on the inside pushing up here, and we could actually get a lot of this out. But due to the amount of damage and the fact that we also have to replace basically the bottom from here or so down, we'll be doing a big weld seam through the center of the door. I think the best approach here is just to remove the skin entirely, repair the damage, and then fold it back over. So that means we have to drill out all these spot welds. We have to peel off the hem flange all the way around the door, peel it off, then we can have full access to all this damage. We can repair all this. We can weld in this new bottom. We got access to hammer and dolly it, so it'll be a cleaner repair. Normally, if I was just repairing this door, I'd probably leave it intact and then repair it like I originally said, put tension on it and whatever. But there's other things that are going to be happening to this door as well. So even though I'm doing, this seems like a lot of work and it's not going to make very much sense right now, it'll make sense later, possibly. There is a plan. I don't know what it is yet, but when I find out, you'll all be the first to know. So there's a few different ways to peel off the skin, and so the way I'm doing it is, of course, the wrong way. And it doesn't help that this door put up quite a struggle. Some skins are easier to peel off than others. This one I would say was not, but I've used these techniques before in the past with some degree of success. So rather than find a better way, we're just going to keep doing it the wrong way. I'll show these homemade tools here up close in the video shortly. But anyways, yeah. Just gonna keep peeling it off here, struggling and hating our life as usual. These are some of the things I usually use for deskinning a door, and they're definitely not the right tools for the job, but they are tools to some extent, and they do get the job done sometimes. But again, I probably don't recommend any of this, but I know some of you are probably going to ask what I used, so I'll show you anyways. And so what we have here is a modified set of vice grips here, and I just welded on the end of a chisel or pry bar or something on here, and then we kind of notched out the bottom of it. And so I use this kind of just to initially peel it up a little bit so I can hook it in there and then pull back a bit, and The geometry on this works better on some doors than other doors. I could probably make another one for different doors, but this is kind of what I use for this door in particular anyways, worked best for this. So we kind of hooked it in there and peeled that back. And then once I kind of get it peeled back a bit, I use this contraption here. And this is just a curved seam splitter that I cut the end off. And I sharpen the end a bit. And then I just kind of hook this in. And then I welded this bar on here. And then I hit this with a hammer. And it just kind of works as a seam splitter. And I just work my way along like that, along the seam. And it kind of peels it apart. So again, very crude and probably not the best tool for this. Once I get it pulled kind of just enough so it's broken up, then I have a slide hammer here with this type end on it, and I just kind of hook in there, and then I slide hammer it back so it's folded up at the 90-degree angle that I need to actually peel it off. And sometimes I'll also use just regular old pliers like this to just kind of grab onto it and twist it back. So again, this is all pretty rudimentary, and again, there's better tools and techniques for this, but this is just what I've used because I'm crude and impatient and millennial. So even when it goes wrong, it's never my fault, it's society's fault. Well, in case it wasn't already painfully obvious, I'm in way over my head. Let's see if we can get something done about this dent here. Expectations are low, as is the surrounding metal. So you saw me very loosely just kind of relieve some of the tension on the dent there. And the next thing I did after I shut the camera off is all along this edge where I had split it away, it was spot welded to the inner structure. And obviously there were a few places where it was spot welded where when I went to break that weld, it cracked. And so there's no chance of doing any more with this until I had this edge stabilized. So I went ahead and I TIG welded up the holes and the cracks. And then because when this edge gets hemmed over at the factory and then obviously unhammered again, there's going to be some stretching that occurs to that edge, so this shape is no longer going to be correct. And even though we could hammer it back on the actual inner structure itself, and it would probably go back to its shape again, because that edge would again be folded over at 180 degrees. But because we have it opened right now, this shape was wrong. So what I had to do is I had to go through with my shrinker stretcher, or my shrinker rather, and I had to shrink this edge in a few places just to get this in somewhat of as close as I could for now, at least, to the right shape. Because if it's too flat or whatever, then it's going to be very, very difficult to get the rest of this damage out. And as we've said in the past, you always start with your edges, so the edges have to be dialed in before you can really get too carried away with the rest of this damage. So right now it's oil canning in this area, which is largely due to the fact that it's still low through here. You can see there's a ridge here, and it's very difficult right now to actually read this panel and continue working it with all this. There's at least 3 bad paint jobs on this. So before I can proceed, we get to strip off the paint from this area, and then that's going to give me, and then I'll be able to read this panel better and figure out exactly what's going on, and then we can slowly continue to release this damage, and hopefully this oil can will go away or diminish. But you know, there's no point in getting concerned about it right now until we're further along with relieving the damage. So I'll stop talking and start stripping. Okay, so I kind of cobbled up a stand of some sorts. We got it tack welded and strapped down to the bench, and then kind of rigged up back here so it's at least stabilized. So we also got the paint off, and now we have a better visual of the damage. You can see obviously there's a big crater here still, fairly obvious, and then we're ridged up here, and there's a lot of damage still. So I'm just gonna start working this damage a little at a time, and eventually it should start doing something. So this is all getting a bit tedious, so I just hit the time lapse here. So you just have to kind of pretend and imagine that there's hammering sounds going on right now. But I kind of notice as I work this, pay attention to the oil can area in the, I guess, I don't know, upper right or upper left, whichever continent you're on. But that oil can I pointed out earlier, pay attention to that. And you'll notice as I'm continually working out this damage, I'm working all the way across the panel, not really focusing on any one area too much at a time, but I'm just kind of gradually chasing out all the damage and until we get to kind of that oil can area, and then we're just kind of zeroing in on that. And you'll notice as I go along here, that's going to start tightening up here and really starting to kind of take shape, which is kind of what we want. So again, the whole theory here is roughing out as much of the damage as you can before you get too concerned about things like that, because if the panel's not the correct shape that it's supposed to be, then you're going to have an oil can whether it's stretched or not. So we just always want to try to restore those dimensions, and we want to work all across the whole panel or all the damage rather than just, again, focusing on one area at a time. If you just focus on one area at a time, you'll just end up chasing damage across the panel, and it'll never ever go back straight again. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave you off here with a cliffhanger. So if you've been watching for a while, you'll probably notice that I usually try to take my repairs right to finished in a full video rather than split them up. And that way we can just kind of avoid some of the nonsense from the peanut gallery, oh, you should have done it this way, that way, or whatever. Because when you have the final product there, it's usually difficult to debate it, or you can still debate it, but the final product is done, so you can't really say I should have done it one way or the other when it's already done. In this case, this week just didn't go as planned, but I got enough footage here to make a video, so I figured we'd slap something together here. But we did have some minor victories, believe it or not. Probably doesn't look like it, but the shape we have back at least. See, it's all got the right amount of crown in it again, all through here. The surface quality is still low, so we got some work to do there still. But the other big victory, the main victory we've got is, you'll probably have noticed in the footage, all through here, we had a pretty massive oil can for quite a bit during this repair, but we kept at it. I was questioning my sanity there for a little bit. We took several readings there, and we come out, my mind's still fairly sound. So this oil can is all tightened up now. There's no more spring in its step. So that in itself is a victory. Instead of panicking, we just remained calm, and we just continued working out this damage bit by bit. And as we continue to work out this panel and get it back into its proper shape, this will tighten back up again. So there is most likely still going to have to be a bit of shrinking going on here. See, there's a point of impact here that we still have it's still rough, and I suspect by the time it's all flattened out, it's going to need some shrinking just to get it back into the proper shape. And obviously, again, surface quality still needs a lot of fine tuning. As it is right now, though, the shape, like I said, is back. So in theory, you know, we could just call her here, but I'm not going to be satisfied until I've wasted all of my free time on this miserable piece of crap. So we're gonna be back with this eventually, and we're gonna continue tuning this up. We also we're gonna have to start working our way across this door now. There's lots of dings, and you can see there's some secondary damage here. There's a high spot, kind of happy face here, and what's happened is there's a brace on the inside. So when this impact happened, it pushed down on this and pushed up on this brace here. So this is all secondary damage from this impact, and then we got lots of damage through here still that we have to correct. This is all very bad through here, but the worst of the dent damage or collision damage has been at least roughed out at this stage. The bad news is that the bottom of this door is actually a lot worse than I would have hoped for, but believe it or not, I mean, it's hard to get much worse than this, but I was hoping to get away with putting in a patch kind of through the rounded portion of it so that we could at least hold some of the shape, but now it's looking like we're going to have to come up to here to get rid of all the rust, which is going to put our weld seam right through the middle of this door. So that's going to be a very exciting repair there. As soon as we weld that, it's going to want to walk around again. It's always important before we do any major welding on a panel that we get, you know, all the damage out of it. So I want to get this as good as I possibly can get it. And yeah, we're definitely pushing ourselves a bit in the struggle department on this door. Still got to patch in this corner here, obviously. Just I'm gonna TIG weld this bottom patch. It's just tacked in right now. I wanted to kind of stabilize it before I split the skin off. I'm sure you're probably also wondering why I split the whole skin off, and that's not something I'd normally do. Even on a panel this bad, I probably wouldn't waste my time with that, or I might just slice it there and just split the bottom section off to repair it. But we were going to be using these doors on a radical chopped and sectioned truck. So that's was the original thinking there. But then I started reading through some of the comments on past videos, and it seems there's a few people that get extremely upset when I chop up a parts car and modify it in some way. So we're going to do the next best thing, and we're actually going to heighten this door. We're gonna add to it to kind of please those people, and what we're kind of going for is the chicken truck that Waylon Jennings and Big Bird drove, because I mean, chopped and section stuff is cool, but you don't get much cooler than Waylon Jennings and Big Bird and a chicken truck. So yeah, we're gonna probably add about 2 or 3 feet onto the top here and maybe a foot through the center here, and I think it's gonna look pretty sharp. So again, that's all coming in the future. That's going to be a ways off though, because we want to restore as much of this as we can before we start doing the cool stuff and making it into a chicken truck. So that's sort of the plan there. And again, this is just a personal kind of endeavor that I'm embarking on, not a paying job. So you know, this is just going to be something we work on kind of when we have free time, which doesn't seem to be very often. But if you like this kind of thing and you want to see more on this, make sure you like and share this video and watch all my other videos so that I can actually dedicate some time to this project. And we're going to use that rusty GMC cab that we were going to throw out. We're going to use that for the cab, and there's lots of rust and customization and things that we can do there. So it should be kind of fun.